the speaker with us today.
Okay, okay.
Thank you.
Kwan, please. You can make your presentation.
Yes, yes, I am just sharing my screen.
Oradaki arkadaşlar yardımcı olursa ekran paylaşımı yapmak istiyorum ama.
Dr. Aijaz?
Okay.
Yes, it is done. It is done.
Okay.
Can I restart it when it will be within half a minute, please?
Okay. Dr. Bashir, please go on. Okay.
Is my screen visible, Professor?
Okay.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So my topic is about the status of women and their socio-economic and internal security contribution during the Ottoman period. I will go first step by step to the status of women, then their socio-economic contributions, and later on the internal security contributions. So first, I want to give a little brief, although my many professors and friends had talked about the Ottoman Empire and its vastness. So I wanted to give a little brief what we are going to do through this presentation. So first, if you will see Ottoman Empire, that it lasts more than 600 years. It was one of the biggest empire in the world. And it thrived between 1299 to 1922. And it was Europeans, Africans, and West Asia's most remarkable ruling entity. So by these things, we can get a little idea about the empire, that where it was and what was its main focus. It was having the vast varieties of culture, religion, and language. So we understand that it was not just Muslims were included or just one culture was included. It was multicultural empire. So what we are going to discuss here about the status of women, that first of all, I like to highlight about the legal system of Ottoman and the status of women in Islam. Because the legal system which is in Ottoman is mostly inbuilt by the Islamic laws. So we will go in detail. First, if we will think about that, can a state with Islamic principles deprive its women, or will it give more rights than other political systems? So we have to think about it while going through presentation. We will come to know, inshallah. Until there is one more point which I like to highlight about the lady status, which is the prospects from Western countries. So until 1970s, there was the Ottoman harem featured women, but reality was different. There was not such a vast research on that. Later on, the researchers have done some work on it. So first, let us see about the women's status in Islam. If we will go through this slide, we will see in a brief that how much the woman is respected in Islam and how much status, a great status it has been given. So apart from personal, social, and economic rights, we can see that women in Islam has various other rights. It is to that level that it becomes the way to Jannah for different people in their various stages. If we will see in these three hadiths, that when she is born, she opens doors to her parents for Jannah. when she marries, she completes half the deen of her husband. And when she becomes a mother, there is Jannah beneath her feet. So this is the status which Islam gave to the woman. When we will go to the rights of women in Islam, if we will go back that it is the Islam which gives the rights and dignity to women 1400 years ago. Islam came to uphold women's rights and elevate their standing in society. At the time of Prophet Muhammad, when girls were buried alive, but he came as a mercy for all the humankind as well as for that time. And the ladies were saved by the coming of Islam. So if we will see here, number first, the right to be honored and treated with respect. If we will see as a mother, so there is a hadith when Prophet Muhammad was asked about that who is the most deserving of my good treatment by one Sahaba. So he repeated 3 times the mother, whereas 4th time he repeated father. So first priority he gave to mother to be treated as most deserving people. And as a wife, it has been also mentioned in the hadith that the most perfect man in his faith is the one who treats his wife more excellently. So here also it is showing that how much it is the respect given, or it is related to the one's faith, that how he treats a lady. A daughter and sister, in case of a daughter and sister, there is one more hadith by Prophet Muhammad that whoever has 3 or 2 daughters or sisters and keep them in good company, means appraise them in a good way, Allah will give him paradise in this regard. So when we will see second, right to seek knowledge and education, in Islam, everybody have this right, and everybody have the right to seek knowledge and to inherit any skills or pursue the knowledge. Seeking knowledge is a duty upon every Muslim, and he who imparts knowledge to those who do not deserve it is like one who puts a necklace of jewelry, pearls, and gold around the neck of swan. So this is also mentioned in Hadith that it is not barred to anyone, and it is not just the property of men, but it is to all, and ladies are equal in it. Third right, if we will see right to equal justice, in Islam, women have the same rights as male regarding religious practices such as prayer, fasting, and charity giving. Surely men and women believe it is also mentioned in the Quran in this ayah that where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is equating men and women in many conditions as same. So if you will see this ayah, there is every time Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talking about men and women with different attributes, and they are same. And fourth is the Muslim woman has the right to work. So when we will see the right to economic self-sufficiency, it is also given in Islam. So they have right to work, they have right to inherit the property, they have right to have a legal contract and manage her assets financially, everything. So there is no difference in that way also. If we will see the right to choose a spouse, there is also given that right to lady that she can choose her spouse as per her wish, even though if parents are choosing spouse, but she has the right to accept or deny the spouse. So these 5 rights, if we will see, they are covering the main aspect of life, even though there are a lot of more, but they were the main 5 which I highlight here, so that we can come to know about the status of lady given in Islam. So when we will come to the legal system of Ottoman time, so as per the archives, 85% of Ottoman law was based on Sharia and were used to create personal, family, international, private, and public law procedures. And 80% were penal laws, financial and other general principles. So if we will see that the society, the country, the empire having the legal system embedded with 85% of Sharia law, it is sufficient to understand that the status of women, what can be there. So I don't think there should be any doubt about their treatment to women. when we will go to pre-Ottoman legal system, what was embedded in that legal system, there were two things. One was Sharia law, as I discussed, the 85% of it was embedded in it. And another was Al-Urf and Qiyas. This Qiyas and Al-Urf was done where there was some situations in which they need to have some intellectual substance to carve a solution. So by this, there was sometimes the Amir was saying, or he was coming with a solution, or sometimes an Imam was coming, or King was coming. So these Qiyas and Urf was used as a secondary source in legal system. So now what was the privileges that Ottoman woman was getting in pre-modern time? So first, if you will see legal privileges, she was having right to control that belongs to them, and neither father nor spouse were allowed to utilize it without their approval. So they were the full holders, the full owners of their properties, right to bring disputes before the local Qaidi, or what we will say now, judge. So they were also able to bring the cases to court as a man is allowed. In most cases, judge protects women's legal and property rights in the Ottoman court system, utilized by women for all walks of life. Even judges have given many the judgments in which they protected their legal affairs also. Non-Muslim Ottoman, this is very interesting that even non-Muslim Ottoman women who were non-Muslim, as we talked that it was multicultural, multi-religion empire, there were some non-Muslim women also. They were widely using Qaidi courts because they have been regarded as more favorable in dealing with women's concern. So their own courts were not dealing such clearly as the Ottoman courts were dealing with them. So they were preferring to go to that Qaidi court rather than theirs. Women have the ability to reject a match, and beforehand agreement were widespread. As I talked, that they were having their right to have their choice of person to marry. Sixth, if you will see, when it comes to dissolving an unhappy marriage, Ottoman women had great freedom. The legal standards might imply to terminate their marriage. So even in divorce also, they were having their right for divorce. There was a customary for non-Muslims also in this, that Ottoman women whose tradition did not allow divorce, they convert to Islam, and then by this method they were getting free from that undesirable marriage. So in that time also, they were not having this privilege to get divorced, whereas Ottoman women was having. Women were not given hard work like commercial or earning duties due to care and respect. In that society, there was care and respect even to animals. We cannot talk only that women or men, they were having to all. So by this respect and by this care, they were not giving hard work. They were also given choice in it. If they like to work, they can. If not, they cannot. So here, if we will take some examples of Western ladies, Lady Elizabeth Carvan, which was moving from Crimea to Constantinople, was based on her trip during 1789. She wrote in her this trip book. She wrote that trip all, and she made it as a book. She wrote that, I think I never saw a country where women may enjoy so much liberty and free for all approaches as in Turkey. The Turks, in their conduct towards our sex, means women are an example to all other nations. So at that time also, in 1789, she also appreciated the situation of women in Ottoman time. Leslie Parsi questioned that a typical picture of Ottoman women as cloistered and helpless in the empirical harem. She questioned it, that what you are saying about this, she didn't accept it. She questioned about it, that it is not real. According to her book, what she wrote in the book, The Empirical Harem, Sultan's mother and other royal ladies were more powerful and prominent as they retired into their harems in the latest 16th century. So they were very powerful. It was not just they are there as slaves, and they were segregating women and having family affairs and doing other works what were used in the state. So when we go to property rights in that, architecture projects and infrastructure development had by royal ladies. So they were also, their big hand was of that royal ladies to develop architecture projects and infrastructure. So if we will take the example of Hurram Sultan's, which she created the Istanbul Haskiye Hurram Kale, which is still standing in Istanbul, and there was a mosque, a soup kitchen, women's hospital, and bathrooms, which we can say bathhouses. So these, they were money privileges given to them. Family landowners had female landowners have a vital role also in this Timar system, as my brother Shafad talked before. And women in the Ottoman economy has a prominent role as seen in their charity actions. We will see later on what they do in charity also. When we see business privileges, they were also able to have their businesses, their own businesses in silk winding and cotton spinning, were traditionally seen their domain. It was domain of ladies because they were more handy on that craft. They also prepare foodstuffs and did small trades. They were also in agriculture and animal husbandry. Women from both the cities and countrysides were owning setups, business setups, and working together. So they were all like men are doing. So when we see their role in Ottoman state, if we will see at that time when women were seen as a sign of witchcraft and sin in the West, a revolution was posting in Anatolia where Bajani Rum became the world's first women organization. So they were able to create their own organization under the Ottoman Empire. So this is showing that how was their status in Ottoman Empire and how they were able to contribute because of this privileges given to them. Bajani Rum has played an important role in Anatolia moral and economic regeneration and was the brains behind a massive endeavor in sector of religion, business, society, and education. So they contributed in all numerous works were created by them, schools, hospitals, whatever was used for public utility. If we will see their socio-economic contribution of the women in Ottoman Empire, their role were also in agriculture, business, and social work. They were also having their part in war, peace, and textiles, home economics. So if we see any area has been remained where they didn't participate in, and they were allowed to participate in it. Several instances illustrate that women in Anatolia were involved in commerce and operating business. As an example of Bursa, which we talked about, that they were having the majority of the spinning workshops were owned by females. Even in this, the males went to court to say that they have monopoly and we need any solution for that. So this was their status and this was their influence on every aspect of life. Apart from text workers, women in the neighborhood had their own mills and bakeries. So if we will see that they had their contribution in every aspect of life, in every domain. Due to the framework of no gender discrimination, these Bajani Rum were able to contribute as much as Ahya organizations because they were created by male and they were created by ladies. By this non-discrimination, they were able to contribute in equal parts. After completing the education of women, they trained them, they let them their own, they didn't let them to do their own, just to leave them without any care. They were constantly monitoring the ethical business. After teaching them, after training them, they were constantly monitoring them to have the good quality of products, to give the service which they provide in well way. So if you will see nowadays, we can say it, the chambers of commerce. Nowadays,
Dr. Bashir, 4 minutes.
Yes. I am going to close soon. So in this era, there are a lot of things which ladies had done in socio-economic spheres. In middle ages, Ahi women also served the purpose of providing work and employment. It is also regarded as the beginning of women's entrepreneurship for the prospects. So this is also the one of the main well-doing by them. These groups were also giving education and these educational. And now if you will see below are 3 examples of these numerous works which have been done by royal ladies. After that, it was followed by the other ladies who also contributed in Waqf. And we can see that the Waqf was 20 to 30% of all the philanthropic foundations were formed by the Ottoman women in 18th century. So if we see this, so they were not even in this lagging behind. So contribution in internal security, this is the last topic. If you will see in here, Hisbah system, they were having their own Hisbah system because they provided for this ladies market were different. They were not allowed men to go in that market because mostly men were on wars and ladies were alone at home. They have to go and do their business and purchase there. So it was just separate for ladies. And there was a Hisbah system also for malpracticing, misconduct, as same in groups. So nowadays, if you will see Hisbah system, it is consumer protection system. So that time they were protecting their internal affairs by this consumer system protection also. Participation in the protection of state. So they also participated in the protection of state. They were fighting. They were good, capable. The ladies were capable to fight, ride, shoot, and archery. Also, they were hunting. So in that all way, they were able to give back to their husbands to fight also in wars. Even they fight for the Mongolian invasion. Against the Mongolian invasion, like a guerrilla group supplying troops with necessities like socks, clothes, and other logistic support. The women also indirectly secured the state for the emerging of criminals and thieves by diluting the extreme situation by teaching and providing jobs. So what they were teaching, they were giving moral training, they were providing jobs. So they saved indirectly the society from these harms, these criminal things. The Ahi women created an organization in Middle Age that helped other women find jobs. So they also created, which we can say, the job portal that time. Women in security field. So there were women in security fields also, which participate in the time of late Ottoman period. Dated from the General Directory of Security shows that the 16th April 1880, Aisha Hanum, daughter of Bara, was assigned as a guard at the Zipton prison. So it was followed by other women to be as a security guard in ladies' prison. They were also providing guarding, providing food and health care to that ladies' prisoners. The women were involved in custom clearance processes also from the ship, which were coming ships or boats. They were also there to provide the custom clearance services. If the woman was suspected that she is smuggling something, then lady was going and searching them. So they worked on ports also. Turkish intelligence began with the Göktürk Huns and Karakhans and Seljuks, but Turkish spies have operated for hundreds of years. These spies were first, they were thieves and other people who were knowing these criminal things, but later on they reverted to Islam and they shunned these bad practices. After that, they were used as an intelligence people. So there were men and women both, which they were used in these intelligence agencies, and they were also having the experience of that things. So contribution in military operations, as I said, that they were as guerrilla organizations during wartime, and they were providing and supplying the war supplies to their men, as well as they were present in battlefields. Last one in these were some concepts of Western people who were saying that the why these Ottoman ladies are so much.
Dr. Bashir, only 1 minute.
Last slide, sir, last slide. So women live, the concept of women and what they believe, Ottoman women, they believe that women live and die as men do. They can be officers, if not masters. Ottoman women do not appear in ballrooms or gardens, but in schools and battlefields. So these women were preferring to be in schools and battlefields as to provide the backing for their society.
Okay.
Apart from its Occidentalism aspects, the scene where the Christians are in the palaces waiting for the Arab invaders is also used to examine the debate regarding the function of women in an army. So these Christians were, or these Western people were also debating this. Some were saying that there are ladies in the there are ladies in their army, so it is easy to fight them. But others contradict this. They said if ladies are able to resist, so it is not easy to fight with such a nation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Bashir. Your presentation is important. Süremiz çok